The neon glow of Tokyo's cityscape was a sickly green, a stark contrast to the crimson streaks of blood that painted the streets below. Kai Lee, a former hacker with a conscience, watched the carnage unfold from his rooftop perch, the biting wind whipping at his worn leather jacket. The zombies, as they were now called, were a relentless tide, their vacant eyes reflecting the city's dying light. Kai had been a ghost in the digital world, a phantom in the labyrinthine network of Tokyo's infrastructure. He'd used his skills to manipulate the city's systems, creating a network of safe zones, havens for the survivors. Holographic displays flickered around him, showcasing city schematics and zombie movements. His fingers danced across a glowing keyboard as he rerouted power, controlled traffic lights, even manipulated the city's surveillance cameras to track the horde's movements. But the tide was turning. The zombies were growing in number, their hunger insatiable. The safe zones, once secure, were now under constant threat. The network, Kai's lifeline, was fraying at the edges. A flashing red alert flickered on his display. Safe Zone 4 breached. He watched with a clenched jaw as the feed showed a group of survivors, led by a young woman with a fiery spirit, desperately fighting back against the onslaught. They were outnumbered, outmatched. He recognized the woman, Hana. He'd downloaded her profile weeks ago, amazed by her resilience in organizing survivors. He'd even anonymously routed supplies to her safe zone. Now, watching her struggle, he felt a pang of guilt. He couldn't just be an observer. "Hold on, Hana," he muttered, his fingers flying across the keyboard. He rerouted power to the safe zone, flooding the area surrounding the building with blinding white light. The rumble of the city's automated defense systems activating echoed through the streets as he unleashed a barrage of disorienting sonic waves. The survivors, stunned by the sudden intervention, looked up in awe, their faces illuminated by the strobing lights. Hana, her eyes wide with disbelief, saw a lone figure silhouetted against the neon glow of the city on a nearby rooftop. "Who are you?" she called out, her voice barely audible above the din. "Just someone who wants to help," Kai replied, his voice distorted by the network's interference. He knew he couldn't stay. The zombies were closing in, drawn by the commotion. He had to find a way to protect the network, to keep the safe zones alive. His fingers danced across the keyboard, lines of code scrolling rapidly on the holographic displays as he hacked into the city's mainframe. He needed to create a digital firewall, a barrier to protect the network from the growing zombie threat. He had to find a way to isolate the infected, to prevent them from accessing the city's systems. The clock was ticking. The zombies were getting closer. He could hear their guttural moans, their ragged breaths. He had to hurry. His eyes scanned the lines of code, searching. He found it. A hidden protocol, a dormant program designed to quarantine infected systems. "This is it," he breathed. He activated it, his heart pounding in his chest. The city's network shuddered, the neon lights flickering erratically as the program took hold. Through the holographic city schematics, he watched as the zombies froze mid-stride, their movements becoming erratic, disoriented. Their vacant eyes, once filled with hunger, now reflected a flicker of confusion. The firewall was in place. The network was safe for now. Kai, his body exhausted, his mind drained, slumped back in his chair. He had bought them time, but the fight was far from over. The zombies were still out there, their numbers growing. He had to find a way to stop them, to find a cure, to save the city he had sworn to protect. He looked out at the city, its neon glow now a beacon of hope. He wasn't alone. There were others out there, Survivors fighting for their lives, like Hana and her group. He would find them, he would help them, he would fight for a future where Tokyo could once again shine bright.